stupid when it comes to Instagram. Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today we have an interesting topic: shit testing by women. This has been something there's a lot of YouTube videos on this. I believe that it's been touched on in The Rational Male by Rollo Tomassi, which is a really good book. And it was a requested topic actually by someone that watches the live stream regularly. So when, who, what about shit testing? We have Jessica on, who's a 31-year-old female artist. Actually, let me move the microphone here really quick. I didn't even think about that. So this contraption here. And I think that will work. Okay, so we got 3 on deck, 4 on deck, 1 like. Let me know how the microphone is. If you like this video, if you like the live stream, throw it a like. If you don't like it, that's just fine. Have an opinion, please. Bogan Urban, welcome, Catherine. It's been a while. And if you want to subscribe. If you want to go to the Instagram, Coach Mac McCarthy, it will have a schedule of all these live streams coming up. I'm getting organized here, so get on deck. So, Jessica, you want to say hello?
Hello.
Can you hear? Good. So, today, we will talk about shit testing women. Is anyone aware of what this is or what this means or what your definition of it means? Because Jessica was telling me, what is that? Like, what does it mean to be shit tested? It's like, have you done it before? No, I've never done it before. It's like, I think men do it sometimes to women, but women definitely do it more to men on the flip side. So
really?
You don't think so, huh?
You
don't think you're a shit tester?
I'm not saying I'm not a shit tester, but I don't know who does it more. I think it's all. So you think in general women are testing men more?
I definitely think that, or believe that, human beings, and this isn't like some liberal statement, like I think human beings are way more intricate and there's way more pieces to individual people that make someone like yourself, like you've probably shit tested guys, but there's women out there that do it regularly for sport.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean by that? Like,
sport.
Yeah, like there's women out there that definitely, what's up, Marcos? What's up, Shazami? There's definitely women out there that would do it more than others. Right? Just like you'd say, all men are chauvinistic. Like someone would say something like, oh, guys are so chauvinistic. It's like, actually, some are and some aren't. Some are at different levels. It's like a scale of 1 to 10, how much of a shit tester you are. I would say I have no idea for you, because I think women do this when they're entertaining a relationship, they're dating, or they're in a relationship. Now, I would say that I've definitely witnessed women that always win the shit test. And the thing about a shit test, I think, is that I think it's done unconsciously, that you're not like, oh, okay, I'm gonna shit test him right now. Like let me think about this tonight. Tomorrow when we go on the date, if I ask him this question, it'll really make him think about how he's treating me. I don't think it's done consciously. I think it's subconscious, and it's just an action to see. And shit testing, a lot of people look at it as something that is going to test some man's will or strength and stand up to you.
Right. So there's different types of you can shit test someone when you're getting to know them. You're shit testing them.
You could do it with colleagues. You could do it with other things. But I'm saying we're talking in terms of relationships, women with men specifically, and that a lot of guys are out there like, oh, women do this all the time.
But is this like in the dating scenarios, or you're already in a relationship, or it's like
I think it's both. I think it's both, and like I said, I think that some women do it more than others and do it better than others, and then there's sometimes it's individually based. Is it something that's a regular practice with women? Yes. And so
women are trying to. The women that are doing this they're trying to find like an outcome, or they're trying to find out something about the person that they think isn't true, that they're not speaking true about. Like the purpose of a shit test is what? Why am I shit testing you?
I believe that it's in a lot of cases to see if you can stand up for yourself.
To see if the man can stand up for himself.
Like, how are you going to deal with this?
Right. Oh, so it's not.
How are you going to deal with this? Like, in other words, are you going to placate me? Or are you going to do exactly what I say when I say it? It's like let's give an example. Let's say that I've seen this situation happen. Maybe this is a bad example. This just come to my head recently. Someone's at a bar, pub, or restaurant bar, or whatever, and he sees his ex-girlfriend, and they've both been drinking a little bit, and the topic comes up, and she's like, "Would you kiss my feet?"
Okay.
Right now,
she's playing. Is that playing or shit testing?
Well, see, that's the interesting thing about a shit test. You just had a devil smile right there, by the way, because you were like,
I mean, what does she mean by that?
I'm saying that.
Are you gonna get dirty for me, basically?
What? I mean, is kissing your feet dirty? I don't know.
I mean, dirty in the sense like, are you gonna be at my beck and call or something? Or,
I just feel like that's a shit test. Because, like, or for example, if a woman or an ex-girlfriend said that to me, I would immediately be like, like, I wouldn't even entertain it.
Right.
It wouldn't even be like, oh, like, I would kiss your feet.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So, like, right there, you can, if it's a stern shit test, like, you're going to kiss my feet. It would be like, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
Right? It would be like, not a chance in hell, hun.
Right.
Right? I wouldn't even kiss your feet if I liked you. Still.
Okay, so kissing your feet is a metaphor.
Right. I'm just saying, wow, J-Bond, Mac and Jess, you guys are by far the best YouTuber in this genre. Thanks for being awesome. Glad I discovered you before you got big. That gave me chills down the spine. Thanks, bud. So Jessica's actually a rising star. So going back to this, though, this is an interesting topic, I think, because the reason I'm giving this as an example, it's pretty clear. Because let me ask you this, Jessica. There are guys out there that would go, I'll kiss your feet.
Yeah. But what's their motive behind that?
To get laid.
Yeah, so.
Right? And so the woman could be like, so now if you said this, and I'm not saying that you're going to have someone kiss your feet, but you understand where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that if you go there with this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you go, you like that. If the guy, let's just say it's you, and you're like, would you really kiss my feet? Like in your head, like you're thinking, like, would you really do that? You've had a few drinks. He's had a few drinks. Maybe the bartender's like, yeah. She like eggs it on, or he eggs it on, right? I've seen this scene recently, so that's why I'm bringing it up, like, give some context. If that guy fucking kisses your feet, you're laughing about it, you're playful about it, but deep down you're like, really? You lost a little respect for him. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're not like, oh my God, I really want to be with you now that you kissed my feet. What do you think? Do you understand so like I said, this comes up, it's a girl, let's just say it's a girl the guy likes, he's met her before, he's dated her before. I said this could be an ex, but let's just say that happened. They have a few drinks, the situation arises about kissing feet. And he goes, oh, I would kiss your feet, hon, in a moment. And she's like, really? And she puts her feet up on the table. And he's like, goes and kisses her feet. Do you have respect for that?
I mean, I think it depends on how the situation is. So I just think it's kind of dirty. I mean, you don't want to kiss anyone's feet in Thailand, or anywhere for that matter.
Why would you say that? Because everyone wears no
the
socks?
The ground is just dirty.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're not. I'm not saying this is someone barefoot and pregnant or something.
No,
I'm just saying that
your feet can be.
I'm saying that. Let's get back to the topic of.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's a shit test.
Yeah.
It's a clear one. Now you understand where someone like.
It's like a pouch. She's putting pouch.
And I'm saying a woman that would bring up a shit test like that is probably manipulative.
Yeah.
And does it for sport.
Yeah. It sounds.
Let me ask you this: if that woman, and I don't think you would do this, Jessica. I don't think you'd be like, "Oh, yeah, I'm just gonna have this guy kiss my feet." Ha ha ha. Right? You might join in if you had someone that like. Someone brought it up, and you're like, "Really? You'd kiss my feet?" But the question would be, even if the guy kisses your feet, right? He's obviously doing something that you're like, "Oh, you really would kiss my feet." Now, in Hollywood or a movie, it'd be like, "Oh, what a romantic guy! He loves his woman."
Right. He'll do anything for her.
Yeah. Oh my God. You wouldn't like maybe a couple's watching a movie and be like, "Would you kiss my feet, hon?" It's like, hell no. And first of all, it's not my thing. I've had women say before, like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I love getting my toes sucked." I'm like, "Yeah, not me." Like, no, I know that's there's things for there's different strokes for different folks, but feet sucking, no. But that would be something done privately in a bath or something like that, right? So
Yes, precisely.
right? I'm saying though, like it gets brought up. I know that there's some women out there that would be like, "Oh yeah, did you want to kiss my feet?"
Mhm.
And the guy, if he's that attracted to her, usually this would be a highly attractive woman with a lot of confidence. And if the guy was and if he goes, "I'll kiss your feet, hon. I'll put him up there."
Yeah.
It's like he's dead red, like, "Oh, this is gonna get me some points." And the girl could flirt further, get a couple, like flirt on. But most likely, you're gonna be thinking, what a fucking weak ass. Ha 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 ha.
But
You're not thinking like we're
maybe
gonna.
maybe he's seeing it as a power play on his part, that he thinks that if he can make her think that he's going to be at her beck and call, but really it's just maybe he's not seeing it as, he's saying yes, but really at the end of the day he's just, it's a moment. It's not actually, it doesn't really, it's not how he every
Different people are different ways. Someone will be like, "Oh my god, that was so great." Sandro Abbat, go to rightmac.com. You can't. I want to talk to you. Go to rightmac.com and figure it out and put a thing in there. You can't just call me on the phone. So that was a clear cut example. And like I said, I would say, here's the other thing about that is, here's what's really interesting. In the public scene, you get shit tested and you kiss that woman's feet, all the women around there are like none of them are like, "Oh, I want my feet kissed too by John Johnson. He's such a sweetheart," right?
What's like a more soft example rather than kissing feet? Because all I can imagine is some woman sticking her foot up on the table.
So that would be an aggressive shit test from a woman, like I said, that's probably doing it just for fun, right? Like or for sport. But there's women out there that do that kind of shit. You probably have had a few friends in the past and I would say those are the kind of women that get a lot of attention. They just feast on it. Like that's their.
So maybe they're kind of they like to be the center of attention.
Yeah, so
they're not only doing it for the man, they're doing it for the audience.
Right, and that could be a version of a shit test, in my view. Now, let's say a couple's together, and like I said, I don't think shit tests are necessarily premeditated.
Right.
I don't think it's planned out. I think it's unconscious, and I think that someone does something and they're like, "Now what are you gonna do?" Right? Like, what are you going to do? It's like, let's say a woman brings up the fact, let's say she goes, "Oh, I just went to my jazzercise class," if anyone ever does that anymore. Right? And I was followed home by someone I think stalking me. Right? And she goes on and on that she saw the headlights in her mirror, and she comes home to her boyfriend and tells him. Now you're thinking like, that's not a shit test, but in a way it is, because it's like you are looking for how your boyfriend would react to the fact that you suspect that there is someone stalking you coming home from jazzercise class, right? And so when you drop that, if your boyfriend's like, "Oh, if your boyfriend's like, "I don't think anyone's gonna stalk you, hon," you'd be like, "What? You think I'm lying?"
But that's I mean, this example is pretty sensitive, because if a woman feels like she's being followed home, I think that you need to respect the fact that she felt that way.
Like if it was me, I'd ask direct questions. You'd have to consider the source. Are you a dramatic individual? Are you someone that jumps to conclusions? Are you someone that cries wolf? All these things can go on.
Yeah.
I would definitely say I would immediately ask some questions like, what did his car look like? How far was he away? Are you serious? Did this guy see you at the yoga class? Yeah. I wouldn't be like, "Let me get my gun."
No. Oh my gosh.
You know what I mean?
I mean, to me, that's more sounds like a cry for attention rather than like
shit tests are a cry for attention sometimes. It's like the shit test could be different things.
Right. So shit testing is pretty broad. It can fall under.
I'll give you another example. I witnessed this I talked about this yesterday a little bit. We got 15 on deck. Cool. So I was at a table. Let's just say they were relatives of mine, older relatives of mine.
Uh-huh.
I'll just tell the truth. My parents. Okay, so
okay.
They don't mind probably. And my dad's one of those that likes to tell a good story. He likes to talk a little bit, and he's going on and on about something. And my dad exaggerates sometimes. He exaggerates stories, but it's harmless. It's not like He's not going to exaggerate to hurt anyone. It's just to fluff up the story sometimes, right? And he tells such a good story that you don't know,
Right.
right? And my mom sometimes will be like, "Hey, that's not true. Now you're just making up stuff, right?" And then she'll just keep cutting them off. And she didn't do this when I was younger, but sometimes she'll do it. So one time that, there's another couple at the table. I'm at the table. I think my nephew was there. I was kind of like in my head, like, Mom, just leave him alone. Like, he's just telling a story.
Mm.
And my dad is like, he's like, he ignores it a couple times and he looks over and he goes, "Would you stop contradicting me?" And just said it really stern. My mom was like, okay. Like, she just shut up. Now someone's like, well, he should listen to the woman. No, my mom's testing with unconsciously to interrupt him and basically in some ways make him look like an ass by saying that he's not telling the truth, that he's exaggerating the story, but she would like cut him off. It wasn't like he's going to fucking hit her or something. I stopped the mom. He said, he looked at her and my mom stopped. Mm-hmm. To me, that's kind of a shit test too. Mm-hmm. It's like if I'm talking and someone keeps interrupting me and saying that my story's not true, it's at some point I'm going to go, hey, let me fucking finish my story. Mm-hmm. Or you got to say something. You got to stick up for yourself. Mm-hmm. Now there's guys out there that would be like, okay, Wilma, you're right. Mm-hmm. And like crouch down and just like stop telling the story. Mm-hmm. That would be failed shit test. That would, you know what I mean?
Hmm. I think it really depends a lot on the character of the person and how they would. The person saying the shit test and the person receiving the whatever.
So you don't think you've ever shit tested a guy?
I'm not saying that I haven't. Unconsciously, I think that I probably could have. But my motive in my shit test would probably be I would be seeing if he was telling me some sort of shit or not. Like, is he speaking the truth, or is he where is this information coming from?
So it's a truth thing?
For me, that's how I understand.
I think sometimes a shit test is like, what are you gonna do? It's like, I'll tell you an example.
So it's about sticking up.
Let me take this away from women. So I remember I've told this story before. I haven't been in many fucking street fights or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise, right? I've always been a fucking talker, so it's like I'm not one of those. Of course, I've been in a couple fights as a kid or something like that, or I've stood up for myself or something like that, right? Like I can lose it. But I remember I was in 6th grade. I always remember this. I was in 6th grade. I was about 11 years old in 6th grade. Do you guys have 6th grade where you go to middle school?
Yeah.
In Canada?
Yeah.
So like middle school is different than elementary school. Yeah. It's like you have locker rooms. Yeah. You have to suit up for fucking PE. I don't know. This is international audience. It's different. You have a whole new group of people. It's a bigger classes. Kids are about 11, 12, 13. So they're just starting to fucking go through puberty. And then there's the kids that aren't and whatnot. So it's a different landscape, right? And there's kids that are trying to be tough. So what happened was I was in the locker room and this kid tagged like his name up on the wall. You know, tagging. It was just like, amateur tagging, whatever, with a marker. If you guys remember this shit. And this other kid, I wouldn't even call him my friend. The kid that did the tagging was like, he's 11 years old. He's like 6'3". You remember those kids in like 6th grade? He had a fucking beard and he was 11. He's a fucking star of the basketball team. Surprise, surprise. So, right? And he was my friend because I was on the basketball team. I was a starter. So he's a buddy of mine. Mm-hmm. And we were cool. So this other guy that was in some other classes with me that was a punk, always started fights, stuff like that. And he wasn't a big guy, but he was a little bit bigger than I was. And he's just a big fucking mouth, right? But he would start a fight with someone, throw his jacket off, and punk people. You know what punking is? Basically people would walk away and run away from him, and he'd always pick on people. I was pretty small at the time, but I was never like scared. So he crosses out my friend's tag, not knowing it's my friend's tag. I said something to my friend jokingly, not to get them in a fight, because my friend that was 6'3" was a gentle giant. Mm-hmm. He wasn't a dickhead. Mm-hmm. He wasn't gonna like beat the guy up or anything. It wasn't like that. It was all in fun. And it was, like I said, it's amateur tagging. This wasn't like, you crossed out my tag. And my buddy was like, you crossed out my tag, something like that, right? So This other guy goes, "You snitched on me?" Like to my friend. I thought we were all joking around, right? And he's like, "You fucking snitch on me." He starts getting serious, and I'm like, I could feel like, when you start to get serious, like what the fuck? What is this? And I was like, I said, what? And then he just went and pushed me.
Oh.
And I felt like a jolt of like, what? And he pushed me one more time, and I just snapped, and I just went on offense. I'm like, fuck you, motherfucker. And he was like backing up, and I just snapped because I was like, I'm not gonna be a fucking bitch, right? Like in that moment, like in the beginning, I was like, I didn't snitch. Like we're all talking, like you start to explain yourself a little bit. He pushed me the second time, I fucking snapped. I went on offense because I was like, easily, I've seen other kids deal with the same kid that were like, oh shit, so-and-so is going to like fight me and like put their bag on and walk away. Not me, right? So that was to me like a shit test you have in the schoolyard. The guy immediately afterwards was like, oh, Max getting serious right now. He tried to flip it. He backed off. He was like, oh, Max, look at Max mad and all this shit. I said, I'm going to beat your ass after school. I just was pissed. It was funny because one of my other friends ended up smacking him in the face that was from the basketball team just because he didn't like the kid either. And it was one of my friends. Bottom line, though, right? Bottom line, that's like a shit test when you're a kid, right? To stand up for yourself.
Sure.
So that just came to mind. Like, you're like, and then some kids, when they're kids, they don't pass those shit tests. What happens? Oh, I'm getting bullied. I'm getting bullied at school. Did you stick up for yourself the first time? No. So now you're a mark. Same thing happens in relationships. Now, if someone's going to say like, oh, well, bully shit happens. I get it. But I'm saying like, you do have to stand up for yourself. And I think this happens in relationships and setting up shit tests. So you haven't had one.
I haven't shit tested someone.
Does one come to mind?
No. For me, like I said before, mine was in trying to find out something that was the truth. And I had to find out if what was being told to me was truthful or not.
So this is actually a new term. I'm sorry, Jessica, to interject. This would be called covert shit testing or passive aggressive shit testing. It wasn't direct.
Yeah, this wasn't.
And it was calculated.
It was calculated, yeah.
Oh,
there was
no. We got a new term invented today on the Coach Mac McCarthy live stream. Thanks, Jessica. We've dropped it today. It was a calculated shit test.
Calculated shit test.
So
it wasn't about standing up for yourself. It was about trying to find out if
it was truth, sir.
Yeah, exactly.
You were looking for the truth.
I was looking for the truth.
So do you want to walk us through what you did? You little shit tester.
Sure. So this little shit test, if anybody remembers or was around for the breakup story, this is an extension of that. And so basically it was to find out the truth because it was through Instagram, through social media, trying to find out if my ex was seeing someone that he denied that he was seeing, that I didn't believe him. So we had already kind of separated for a few weeks. And in order to get closer to the truth, through the suggestion of my friend, she said, why don't you post this image on Instagram of you two together that I had taken a month ago, kind of like an intimate shot of us lying in bed. And so then I posted it, and a few hours later, my phone started ringing from an unknown number. And then I started getting messages on Instagram, Facebook, and through my private number, and it was the girl. So the whole purpose of this was to bring her out. I forget what my friend said. She's like, lure her out of the rabbit hole or something like that. And literally it worked. I've never seen a plan like that work so good. And the next morning, her and I were meeting. We had coffee, and we laid it all out on the table.
So where she's going with this, just to give you some background, this was from a breakup she had. And basically, she suspected her boyfriend at the time. They had some issues, like some turbulence. She had suspected that he had been seeing basically his boss, I think.
His boss.
Yeah. Okay. So
we ex-boss.
We could say that, or his former boss.
Former boss.
You had witnessed but you weren't sure, like, are they seeing each other? Kind of like where there's smoke, there's
It
fire.
was like an intuition. It was
Intuition.
a gut feeling.
Gut feeling, but you had some kind of evidence based on that, like you witnessed something.
I just witnessed behavior that wasn't typical of
Friends.
boss.
Yeah. So when they had some problems, she posted a picture of him and her on social media, which he wasn't on.
He's not on. He's on Facebook, but he's not on Instagram.
Yeah, and as soon as she put that up, the woman in question contacted her, and she got the answer she needed. So I don't know if that would be a shit test or like a
But yeah,
a distant one. It could be. It also could be a booby trap.
Snare the rabbit.
But it got you what you wanted. So
It did.
So you haven't had a situation though where like you're dating someone and you ask them questions to test them?
Oh, I'm so horrible at thinking of examples. Honestly, nothing is coming to mind.
Blank slate, huh? Never tested anyone in her life. That's a sign of someone that's in denial, I think.
I think if I'm in denial, I don't know. I'm trying to think of my.
Have you ever been on a date and you're like, someone says something to an answer to your question, and you're like, what the fuck? I think one of the biggest shit tests I've had, I've only talked about this once. And when it got brought up, it's probably the reason or one of the biggest reasons I broke up with my ex of like 10 years ago. That was a bad breakup at the time. Is I remember she was going out a lot. She was going out with friends. She was doing things on her own. She was drinking. She was partying. I was accepting it. I wasn't accepting. We were having arguments about it. She wakes up one morning. She had went out the night before at a birthday, like a friend's birthday, but it had multiple people. I didn't go, which is common. Like sometimes I'm the type like, go ahead and go with your friends. I wasn't upset about that. Mm-hmm. Got drunk, came home late. At the time, it was okay. She got home. I don't know what time she got home, but I was frustrated this time because it was just constantly going out and getting drunk way too often, and partying and just doing things that you would do when you're single. Mm-hmm. And being that we were in a 4 or 5 year relationship, that just wasn't the narrative early in the relationship. Mm-hmm. So now it was backwards. Anyhow, get up in the morning and there was a guy that we had went to high school with. I knew the guy, wasn't a close friend of mine, but when you go to high school, you like know people. Mm-hmm. And the dude was a good dude. I have nothing bad to say about it. But this was like 6 or 7 years after high school or something like that. So mm-hmm. we were different ages. We were 3 years apart, but I knew this guy from around the way. I actually liked the guy in the interactions I've had with him. He was cool. And she was just talking about him in the morning. I was just like, oh, he's this and he's that. And I was just like, what the fuck? Right? Like a part of you is like, oh, cool, so-and-so. And then it's like, oh, and then he's going to teach me how to surf today. Mm-hmm. Now, what do you do with that? Mm-hmm. So your girlfriend has made a fucking date. But at the time, I didn't look at it like that. Yeah. First of all, it's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to go surfing with so-and-so today. He's going to teach me how to surf. I was like, first of all, I really like the beach. Mm-hmm. Right? I don't really surf. But, like, this is something that she's like, yeah, he even mentioned that why don't you make sure you invite Mac because he knew we were together. And she's like, I told him that you would never want to surf.
Well, so there's the part that's, like, fishy.
So I'm saying – subconsciously, well, no, it's not just fishy. It's like you go out, you've been going out regularly, and you make plans with some guy to teach you how to surf from one night of is that okay?
I think that can be okay. Like, but the fact that she was like, oh, well, I don't think she's already making a decision for you. She didn't even invite you. She already was.
Would that be considered, like, I would say looking back, it's a bit of a shit test. What are you going to do with that, Mac? Because I'm in a position now. If I go, okay, go ahead and go. Mm. I just got spit on. Because like I said, I like the beach. Yeah. It'd be one thing if it's like I'm gonna go somewhere where I really don't want to go. I'm gonna go ice skating today, or something like that, and I'm like, yeah, go have fun, right? I like the beach. I like to go there. I know this guy. I'm cool with him. There's no turbulence there. The guy, she even said, the guy told her, Yeah, if
Yeah.
Mac wants to go, like almost trying to let me know, like he's okay with the fact that we're going together and you're not going. I just told him you probably wouldn't want to go, and I remember when she said that, I felt this is embarrassing. I felt fucking hurt.
Right. So that's what
I
she's
felt-
trying to hurt you.
I don't think she was. I think that she really wanted to go on her own. I think that she was. I think it was a shit test in a way. What are you gonna do? Now, here's the interesting thing about that shit test. It wasn't a shit test for us to stay together. It was a shit test. Are you gonna accept this from me? Because we broke up pretty soon after, and that was a big layer to it. It wasn't the reason. It wasn't like you went surfing with this guy. I'm done with you after 5 years. But you know when you have like one thing and you're like, you fucking did that shit. And I remember afterwards, I was like, she went to the beach, and I remember feeling like shit that whole day. Like that was stupid. I can't believe that she went there with that guy, and I okayed it sheepishly. Like I okayed it, and that's not me. Right. I'm not a dickhead. I'm not like someone was just sent me a breakup story, and they're like, "Oh, I'm not one that I check my girlfriend or something." But I felt like that was fucking rotten. Like does that make sense?
Yeah, it's making sense.
Right? It's like, for example, if I have a girlfriend, my girlfriend likes the beach, she has a mutual friend, I say that friend is going to teach me how to surf, and then I say like, you don't need to come.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Yeah, I know you went like surfing anyways. It's like, I know the girl and I like the beach, and I'm not even invited. Now, looking back, if I was in a stronger place, it probably wasn't going to save the relationship. That was a sign that the relationship had some serious issues, right? Because she's trying to play off like, oh, we're just friends. But the reality is where there's smoke, there's fire. And she had some kind of feelings for this guy. Whether she's going to entertain him or not is different, because everyone's different with that. Some people like to flirt for sport. But at that moment, I remember the whole day, I was like, fuck, I can't believe she went. Fucking, it bothered me. It really bothered me.
Could she have been saying that to see what she wanted to know what your reaction was going to be, basically?
I think that's where you have unconscious shit testing, where in other words, she didn't think that.
It wasn't her intention.
It wasn't her intention. But when I say looking back, it was a shit test, yeah, because if you go, yeah, go ahead and go. But here's the thing about some shit tests. Both answers are wrong. There's no way of passing the test. If I go, no, I'm going to go with you, she's probably going to resent the fact that I'm going with her because our relationship's not really good and she's got interest in this guy. If I say, no, you're not going, we're together, I just don't find that acceptable. Now, some women will respect that and be like, oh, my man stood up for me. He cares about me. My particular girlfriend at this time would not accept being told what to do. I'm one of those. I like independent women. Certain people are like, the minute you say you can't do something, they're like, fuck you.
Yeah.
So that one worked. The third part, okay, go ahead and go. I get fucked because I stay home and go, wow, I can't believe he did that to me. That was a moment where I was like, that stewed on me for like a week, I remember. And then she came back and was like, oh yeah, it was so fun and this and that. And it was just like, he had an extra wetsuit for me and da-da-da-da-da. And some of his friends came. I was just like, fuck, just fucking ate me.
Oh. Well, then she took the story and took it even further. Then some of his friends came, but yet you couldn't.
But the interesting thing about that shit test is I don't think there was a win. Like someone would go, oh hell, like I could see it now. I have some family members who'd be like, fuck that. You'd never let your girlfriend go with another guy. I was like, if I would have made the stand in that situation, she would have either gone on her own or resented me telling her what she could and couldn't do. The reality of that shit test is it was the beginning of the end.
Right.
To me, that wasn't like one of those ones where I'm just like, it wasn't to be won.
Right. I mean, there's just like you said, the relationship was in a shaky place already, and the fact that she didn't want you to go there with her is just.
And she didn't say it in a way that was like, oh, you don't have to come with me. I already told him like you don't really like surfing and this, that, and the other. And I was just like, what the fuck?
That almost sounds like a dig, like she's intentionally hurting you. I don't think that's subconsciously hurting someone. I think she was well aware of what she was doing.
And what would be the reason for that?
I mean, it's obvious. I mean, when you're saying something like she knows you, you've been together for 5 or 6 years. She knows you love the beach. When she says, "Oh, I know you don't like the beach," it's like there's some thought process put into that.
So what would you think would be the reason of wanting to hurt you, though? This is good because
But I don't know. Maybe for her the relationship was already coming to an end, and she's already finding ways to shake it up even more and end it. For ways to end it sooner, or it's something.
So this is interesting because this is interesting that you say that because I don't. It's funny thinking about it now. I don't have any issues with it now. I'm over the whole thing. I've talked about this before, but I've talked about this and I've noticed this in coaching that people create situations, and I don't know if this applies to a shit test or not, but this particular one I would say yes, where, like I said, you can't win, but if she's trying to hurt me in that situation, what would be the outcome? The outcome would be you get angry because you're hurt, and then now we have a reason to break up.
Yeah.
Would that be accurate? I think that there's a lot of people out there that go, we've been together a long time. I don't want to be the bad guy. So they this would be for a different show. They subconsciously create situations where someone becomes the bad guy. Like this situation. Oh, he's just my friend. I'm just going surfing with him. It's like I said, I threw out the 3 scenarios. I could say, you're not going with him. I could say, I'm going with you. Or I could say, go ahead and go. Where do you win? I'm not sure. But the reality is that what it does create is like, now I'm upset. Like you said, it's hurtful. So then when it's hurtful, it's like, are you gonna continue to let me hurt you, or are you gonna break up with me? So the shit test almost is, I dare you to break up with me.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. I feel like that's a pretty obvious like stab in your.
Have you done that to someone before?
In my most recent relationship, no, I didn't do that. But when I'm younger, I don't know, maybe when I was younger, I could have done something along those lines where I didn't have enough balls maybe to be straight up and just say, look, this isn't working. And then you create something. Maybe this is not shit testing.
Though. No, but I think the way we're unpacking it right now, because looking back at it, that's exactly what it was. It's like, I dare you to fucking break up with me. What? Like I said, I went through the 3 things there. Where do I win? Like there are some shit tests where, like I said, the example of my father and my mother, it's like my dad's like, don't interrupt me. Stop contradicting me in front of. So it's like being stern and honest. Like, I don't accept that. And then mom went like, okay, maybe I was interrupting you a lot. Someone would be like, oh, that was too stern. No, that's you saying like, hey, quit fucking interrupting. That's a shit test that could be passed, I guess. Are you willing to accept me placating you or whatever? But this particular situation, I think men do it too, where you create situations where you're like, I dare you to break up with me. Because what's the other alternative? That you're going to go surfing and make dates while you're with me? I mean, it's a date pretty much, right?
I guess so. It sounds like, I mean.
The funny thing about that is early in the relationship when we didn't have problems, I'd be like, no problem, go ahead and go. So that's the funny thing. Because I'm chill when I'm in a relationship. I'm like, oh, you have a friend that you're with or something? You got some guy? I'm really secure. So I wouldn't be like that. But this particular situation, I was like, wow, you're talking about him from the get-go before you leave and how great and this and that, and then just disregarding you wanted to go. So I would say, yeah, looking back, it was more of a shit test. You're going to put up with this shit? And actually, I just had a live coaching with someone that said that his ex, who's kind of breaking up with him, was like, why are you still sticking around? Because she keeps verbally kind of taking shots at him. And why would that be? Why would she ask him that question? That's a bit of a shit test. Yeah. It's like, are you gonna?
She's asking him why.
She's basically saying like, I broke up with you. I moved away. I'm still talking to you, and you're still interested in me after I did this to you. It's kind of like, are you gonna stand up for yourself? So with the shit test, there's different ways to approach it depending on the level. I think the best way to approach it is, like I said, for example, if a woman was at the bar and she was like, do you want to kiss my feet?
Yeah.
I would go, not a chance, hon. It's kind of playful. It's kind of like, no. Like, I wouldn't be angry. I wouldn't be like, what the fuck? You got dirty feet. I'd just be like, no.
Like, you're not gonna wrap me around your finger, basically.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna get angry at you or anything. That would be like a neutral, because it's like you're being playful in that shit test. If The other answer is if it's a stern thing, like for example, if a woman said, I've had this one before. This is interesting. I just thought of this. I was at a bar and there was an attractive woman. I went up to her and I said, I had my arm on the bar chair, not on her body or anything, just my arm on the chair. I said, hey, how you doing? I was talking to her. She said, get your hand off my chair. I said, so what did I do? What do you think of? What would be the proper response, Jessica, if someone, obviously you haven't done that because that's not your style, I don't think. You'd be like,
No,
can you buy
but-
me a drink?
No, but if she told you to get your arm off her chair, then you'd say, I don't know, you'd take your arm off her chair.
What do you think I did?
I don't know what you did. I have no idea. You made some joke or said something, or I don't know. What did you do?
But she said it in a way that was really stuck up.
Right.
She was a good looking girl that got attention, right? Like
So
she's
you
the.
were in her space.
I didn't feel like it wasn't like I was wrong romance, like, oh, hey, what's up? You know, it was like, I just put it like this with like a little distance. I'm not one of those people that are handsy.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I just put it there. And she's like, could you take your hand off my chair? And I went, okay. Fucking ignored her for the rest of the night. I didn't even look at her.
Uh-huh.
Didn't even look at her. I didn't even look at I ignored her for the rest of the night. She sat next to me. There was other people there that were friends of mine. I bought the bartender that was also a cute girl a drink. Fucking ate her up.
Okay.
Ate her up because it was like,
Mm,
that's it? You're not going to play with me?
mm.
Like 2 weeks later, like I went to that restaurant or bar a few times that week because it's a local place. This is years back. It's a place I used to like to watch sports. And so I wasn't frequenting the place because of her or anything like that. And I literally would ignore her every time I went in there, no eye contact. And you know what I would do? Just be really kind to everyone else, joyful, and even be like, oh, hey, talk to other women and stuff like that. 2 weeks later, she was like, can I talk to you? Like, I like you. Why don't you want to talk to me? It fucking ate her up.
Mm.
That's passing a shit test, I think.
So if she had said, oh, do you mind taking your hand off my chair, like more soft or more friendly, would you not have felt so?
That's a good point. I probably would say,
Like the delivery
yeah,
was-
her delivery was like, can you take your hand off my chair? Like that. And I was like, okay. Like, and I was honest in the sense, like, I don't even want to talk to you.
Mm.
I don't even want to play this stuck up game
Mm,
in the way you're acting. You're a good looking woman, go for you.
Mm.
And like I said, I think that she told me later on, because she ended up being a girl I was seeing for a little while after the fact. She was like, why did you do that?
mm.
Why did you ignore me for like 2 weeks? I don't understand.
Oh.
She was like, why did you do that? And I was like, well, you told me to take your hand off the chair, and I just wasn't in. Like after that moment, the way you acted, I was not interested.
Mm.
And she's just like couldn't believe it. That would be passing a shit test.
The shit, that wasn't she. Yeah.
It's not a premeditated. She's
No, it
not like,
wasn't
oh, I'm going to
premeditated.
shit test this guy when
Yeah,
he puts
yeah.
his hand on my chair.
Mhm.
But it is.
And she's used to getting attention.
And I just went, like I said, I remember I just went, okay. And I just, like, no big deal. Number one, I didn't get angry.
Yeah.
I didn't say something rude.
Yeah.
I didn't say, and I could have said something playful like, oh, well, I just was brushing off a crumb off your back, you know, or something
Yeah.
like that. Didn't say anything.
I
I was
wouldn't
just like,
imagine
okay.
you to get angry.
No, I wasn't.
Just oh, okay.
I just went, no, if I would have went, okay, sorry. This is what, this would be
okay,
not
sorry.
passing the shit test. Oh, sorry.
Mm.
Can I buy you a drink? Weak. It would have been like, sure, I'll take a drink. And the girl would have felt good. You would have thought you were making progress, but in reality, it would be like, nothing is attractive there.
Yeah.
So that would be a version of it one time that I would say that I did that. And like I said, she brought it up later on. Like, I can't believe that you just ignored me for like weeks. It was easy.
Right.
In my head, I'm like, I don't want to hang out with someone like you. You're really stuck up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So your first impression was like, oh, okay. But even you putting your hand there, maybe you weren't. It was maybe you weren't so intentional with that. Also, it's just like you're friendly. You come over.
Yeah, like I said, it wasn't like, it would be much different if I put like my hand in your lap or something like that. Or
Yeah.
even if it's sweet and nice, like I didn't put my hand on your shoulder or something. I
Mhm.
put it on the chair, like a
Yeah.
bar stool.
Yeah,
And so I have one more that's really good. But
Okay.
do you have one yet?
I would just keep laying out yours. Let's unpack
Are you
it.
guys enjoying this so
Do they
far?
have anything to say?
All right, I got one more I'll come to in a moment. So let me let me check in with Catherine. How you doing? Shizami, how you doing? Mac and Jess, you guys are by far the best. I appreciate it. Second comment above. So happy to discover you. Wow. Damn, shit test. Ooh, toe jam. Laugh out loud. It's like some people who suck toes. I swear, I remember I worked with some girl, and I just remember this when I lived in San Diego, and she was like, I forgot how it came up, and she was like, oh yeah, we were just. She was one of those real like bohemian. She had like multiple piercings. She had like tattoos.
Dreadlocks.
Not dreadlocks, but you got the idea of what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. She was cool and everything like that. Not like I wasn't interested in her, but we were just talking because we worked together. And she was like, oh yeah. And then like he sucked my toes. And I was like, ugh, that's fucking nasty. And she's like, you've never sucked toes before? And I was like, hell no.
Yeah,
I don't even like feet that much.
I don't get that either.
Yeah, I'm like, I was just like, and she was like, oh, you have to try it. And I was just like, no. Yeah, no. Gun to the head.
No.
Gun to the head, no. I feel like there's a line between shit testing and just kind of being a jerk. Probably.
Yeah.
My ex shit tests were cute at first, but then got annoying real quick. Hey, bro, what's your email? Want to talk to you? Go to rightmac.com. Foot kissing sounds like a dominatrix. What's up, Shaquille Slade? J-Bomb, what if you said something along the lines of, I'll kiss your feet if the next round is on you, or something like that? I think that would be more playful, but I would never. I think that that's a fucking pretty one-sided deal to kiss feet for a round. That sounds a little desperate in my book, but that's up to you. Add your own terms. So that would be playful, own forms, but not a pushover. It sounds negotiable. Kiss my feet for a shot. Yeah, no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't even like if a girl said to me like, "Oh, would you like me to kiss your feet?" I'd be like, "No."
Do these conversations really take place? I mean, am I living in a hole?
Your face right there was like,
I mean, I must be having the most.
all right, we're
boring
gonna
conversations.
change this channel. We're gonna have Jessica approach men in a bar and go, "Can I kiss your feet?" just to get reactions. To see if the guy's like, "Hold on," pulls out a baby powder foot or something. Ew.
I wish guys would come, come up to girls more often with some kind of questions like this.
Can I kiss your feet?
It's like,
Only 4 likes, thanks, bud. Got a good one. My ex got mad because I got her a beer, but wasn't her stupid Bud Ice. Ew, Bud Ice. I remember that. So it got Budweiser, which got plenty of times. She got mad and actually said, "You know what? I drink." So I said, "Fuck you." So he said, that's actually a classic shit test. It's like, I get you a drink, and you're like, "This isn't even what I drink." You know that I don't drink that. It's like,
but that's also her being like, "Can't you just pay attention to me?"
ooh,
what I
she's
like?
defending it.
No, but that's what you're saying. It's a shit test, but she's saying, "Don't you just like what I like to drink? So why would you?"
Here's what's interesting about that. This is really good that we have a female male dynamic here to unpack this. This is fucking excellent because I have a feeling if a woman was seeing a guy she's really into and she likes, and it's the dating stage, right?
Yeah.
You haven't sealed the deal that he's your boyfriend or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So in that situation, right?
Right. So it's new.
You're probably gonna go, "Oh, I actually wanted a Long Island. Don't worry about it."
Yeah.
But when it becomes your boyfriend that you're annoyed with and you have resentment for or something like that, it's like, didn't you know that I always get a Long Island on Friday nights? To me,
don't you remember anything?
Yeah, to me, that's the situation that happens when people are boyfriend, girlfriend for a little while, and they start getting annoyed that someone's not listening.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think if you're dating someone and they act like that from the get-go,
right,
that's a red flag.
Right, sure, I agree.
That's a red flag. And the idea that someone can't be like, the reaction to that would be like, well, if you don't want the Bud Ice, fine.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. Just be like, okay. I wouldn't react to that too strongly. I wouldn't be like, "Oh, I'm sorry."
Yeah.
I'd be like, "All right, well, I'll drink the Bud Ice," or go ahead and have it and we can get you another one. But I wouldn't say sorry. Mm-hmm. That's the big thing about shit tests is not to say sorry when you're not sorry, I think. Mm-hmm. He buffed somebody's tag. What? Rita Rose Hubbleworth says, "What you say about my moms?" I think she's talking in regards to that story when I was a kid. That was you standing up to a bully. I didn't even look at him as a bully. Like, I just looked at it like, really, you're getting that upset? And then, like I said, the minute you get pushed, you get into a mode. What do shit tests, especially those I love when a guy puts me in my place type females? That's an interesting thing. I love when a guy puts me in my place type females. So he's saying that there are women out there that are like, I like it when a guy puts me in my place. Would you say that that's true?
Well, I need an example.
There's just a blank stare right there.
Puts me in my place in what sense? Like, I try to shit test him in some way, and then he's like, "Listen, you're not gonna say that to me, or you're not gonna treat me that way."
And then you're like, okay, yeah, I was being catty, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Then you respect it.
Okay, yeah, like, oh, I appreciate. Thanks for
getting checked.
Checking me out. Yeah, checking me.
Is fishing for info shit testing? I guess there can be some overlaps. Sandy Lee, greetings from Singapore. Cool. Jessica spent some time in Singapore. Can anyone enlighten me? What's the meaning of shit testing? I think we've talked about that. If you're still on, Sandy Lee, let me know, and we'll circle back to that. I was shit tested so many times, it was ridiculous, says SMS Productions. Never heard of a shit test. Let me rewind. So there's a lot of people that never heard of this. J-Bon, the Chad Mac. Have you heard of this term, the Chad?
No. I feel like we've talked about it. Forget.
What is the Chad?
You haven't talked about it?
No, it's come up in the live stream before. There's something called a Karen, too. Have you ever heard of that?
Karen's like the girl who you're always like, yeah, okay, Karen. All right. It's like the lady in the office who's like, oh, blah, blah, blah. They always like, follow the rules. It's like,
who makes these names up?
It's generic. It's like it's like the party killer.
Remind me, please, of what a chat is.
I don't know what
I feel like I'm doing surveillance, listening to someone's conversation. I feel a little creepy. Is it a good one, though? I don't think it's creepy. Can you talk more about shit testing before you start dating? Does this happen often when you go out first time or second time? I wouldn't say that you'd bring it up in a date like, hey, I don't like if you're shit. Like I said, I think it's an unconscious thing that someone's put a label to in a book.
Yeah.
Right? So like you could label this however you want to dice it. I think it's a test, and I think women do it to men. They don't know they're doing it. They don't know the result. But a classic example of that was me putting my arm around the girl's chair at the bar. And that's not her going, oh, every time this does it. She's basically saying, like, you can't, I'm not that easy. That's what that says to me. Like, you can't just talk to me and get that close to me that easily. Mm-hmm. Right? And if I was to say, sorry, I'll buy you a drink or something, failed. Because there's nothing to be sorry for there. Okay. So, Shazami, can you elaborate on what you want to know about this? So why would I drive multiple places for a specific beer? SSM Productions, this is why when you just have a small comment, I was thinking you bought a beer at the bar, and she said, that's not the kind of beer I want. He's basically saying, I went out and drove and got it.
Oh.
And she complained after.
Oh, okay.
I would probably say,
it's a little ungrateful.
Yeah, I would say, do you want some ice? We'll lighten it up or something. It's like, okay, well, I'm not driving back out. It depends on the situation. Look up Virgin v. VAD memes. I don't know what that is. If a guy puts you in your place, they're teaching you how to treat them. I respect that.
I think we all hold our we all want to be treated in certain ways. So if people aren't,
I think that there's a fine line, right?
Yeah.
Like there's some things where you're like someone's being verbally abusive, or someone's like this guy that just sent in a story a while back for a private video response was telling me that he believed he always had to check his girl because of Jessica's face. Just went like what?
Check her
Well, he was saying that he had to check her because he believed that masculinity based on YouTube videos was like, I always got to check my girl, and hip hop songs have taught him to check his girl at all times. And his girl repeatedly told him when they broke up, I'm tired of walking on eggshells. I'm like, well, then you had to break up to realize that maybe you're taking this a little too hardcore with the checking your girl.
Making sure that she's being faithful or not doing.
I take it when you say I gotta check her, that means you're making it a point not just to, like, to me, like when we talk about, to go back to the situation, like I put my hand on your bar, instead of me going, well, I wasn't fucking interested in you anyways. You think you're really hot shit. That would be like trying to check her ass. Me going, okay, totally different. I'm just neutralizing the situation. Like, I don't care. Like, I could meet another woman. Nice to meet you. Could. That would be neutral. That wouldn't be checking someone.
Yeah.
Checking someone is almost a negative, like, for example, the story I just told earlier about your girlfriend making basically a date to go surfing with someone else, and I'm like, you're not fucking going there.
Right.
That's checking her. Sit the fuck down. Give me your fucking keys.
Oh, so it's controlling her.
I think it's controlling a little bit more. It's more harsh. Right?
Yeah, you got to make sure that she's listening. She's doing what you want her to do.
Yeah, but there are times, I think, though, that you would say, you could call it checking, where you're like, you're crossing a line. Like, I'm not going to accept that. And a woman will respect the fact that, like, yeah, I was kind of wrong for that. That's it's kind of a fine line. Chad, Tyrone, Pookie, and Ray Ray are the alphas who women want to be with. Good looking, confident, high value. Tyrone and Pookie?
I don't know that. Is that a name?
I've heard the Chad before, that they say that, like, this is a guy that would be the good looking guy, confident.
I feel like English people call guys Chads, no? British, like it's a British term.
It's kind of funny because I worked with a girl in San Diego, and she's like, you just look like a Chad. So it's like, where did that come from? This was like 20 years ago.
Oh.
So I've never heard that term before. So the next one, shit test. Swayze. I used to like Patrick Swayze. I think he passed away. Did you know that, Patrick Swayze?
I think so.
Dirty Dancing. Did you ever see that movie?
Oh, God.
Fucking great movie.
Great
movie.
Great movie.
Highly underrated as a top 10 80s movie ever.
Such a great movie. That and Flashdance.
Flashdance, I remember.
What?
Flashdance was before you were born.
Yeah, it would have been in the early
That's a
80s.
great YouTube video when she does the dance at the end.
Yeah, man. There's great dancing in both of those.
Yeah. Shit test in grade school, college, blah, blah, blah. My girlfriend, boyfriend is going to kick your ass. Always wanted the person getting tested to break up with the tester right then and there, but never did. Chad made me sorry. Javon, sorry. No problem. You may not like it, but you have to respect the person who sticks up for themselves and has boundaries. Absolutely. I think that's what a shit test is.
Right.
I think when someone does something that is disrespectful to you, and like I said, the best way to handle it, I think, is either to play it off, and not a fake way, but like, okay, yeah, no. Or to say, like, no, that's not going to happen. Done. Or to be okay with it, accept it in a neutral way with not a lot of words, and just move. I asked the girl out, and she told me she wants to be friends, but I told her I don't want to be friends. She happens to live next door in my complex. Well, here's you want to give some really quick advice to him, Jessica, on that? If someone asked you out and you immediately told them you want to be friends, is that you basically saying, yeah, I'm not attracted to you?
Yeah. Isn't it? I mean, in my experience, it would be if they're like, "Oh, let's go," and I'm like, "Oh."
What if you were like, this would be like a good skit. It's like it's like you, instead of saying that to you, Shizami, she goes, "Actually, I'm not attracted to you." But
maybe Shizami doesn't want to listen. He thinks that he could, maybe he can.
This
is
is what's really interesting about YouTube and pickup lines and how to get my ex back. Sometimes I think people lose track of, like, well, if I learn how to do this, this, and this, I can get the girl or I can get the guy. The reality is there's some girls and guys that, number one, are not available because it's not a good time in their life, or they're still connected to someone else in their past, or they just don't fucking like you.
Yeah.
I think that's why when someone's like, oh, how do I get more? I'm like, you're not, there's going to be people that are just not interested in you.
I mean, wasn't there a movie made in like the 90s or early 2000s? He's just not into you or something.
There is a title like that. I don't know if it was about, but I'm just saying, like, when someone goes, oh, like, what should I do to get them? I'm like, are they interested? I mean, there has to be a shred of interest. Now,
There has to be a shred of interest.
I do believe that a woman cannot be interested, or a guy cannot be interested, and someone can grow on you.
Mhm.
I do think that's true.
Mhm.
That's not going to happen by you going, oh, I asked them out and they said they just want to be friends. Let me try to find a clever way to change their mind.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
So have you had this happen before where you've been asked out and you're like, I just want to make sure that we're friends?
Mhm. I have, yeah. that I have some experience in.
So instantly you were like, the reason being, I'm not attracted to you.
Yeah. I'm
So-
I'm not attracted to you. Like, I see you as a friend.
And so when that happened,
Yeah.
did the guys accept it or not accept it? What was the best reaction to that?
Yeah, no, some of them accepted it. I mean, they're Canadians, right? So they're generally pretty friendly.
But you would say if they ask you out for a moose head and a
if,
slice of pizza or something like that, and you were like, just to let you know, it's just friends. You would put that out there out front.
No, I wouldn't necessarily say that from the beginning. But like, it's a friend. So for example, it's a friend of a friend who's like, oh, we live in the same neighborhood, and they're like, oh, do you want to go out? And then it's like, okay, sure, like. And then it's like later on, you start to talk about, I don't know, relationships, blah, blah, intention. And then you can kind of gauge like, oh, well, they're moving closer. Oh, they're like, they want to touch, they're touching your leg.
Oh, you're talking about a shutdown on a move.
Maybe that's where
on a physical move.
Yeah, it's not like someone's I don't know. Maybe someone could have asked me out, and then I'm like, oh, I'm not interested in seeing someone right now.
This happens a lot with colleagues. When you work with people.
I have had this happen with a colleague before, and I didn't say it so directly, but he could get that that's where I was going, and he was like, oh, this, I'm not interested. Like, this is strictly friendship, and I was like, okay, cool, great. Like, I'm glad I didn't have to say it. And then we would hang out and
continue to be friends. Yeah. So I would say that if Shazami, when you're dealing with something like this, accept the fact that someone's not interested. I think that there's some people are like, well, what if I do this? What if this works? No, I'll tell you what's attractive. If someone shuts you down and you can accept it, that's actually attractive. Mm-hmm. I think that a woman will find that attractive more than you knocking on the door and going, hey, I got a pizza. Did you want to come over tonight? I know we're neighbors and you said no before. Mm. That's like counterintuitive. Mm. I think you going, oh, it's cool.
Yeah. Then that might make
and then just shutting off contact after that, by the way. Mm. A key part of that would be eliminating all interests.
Right. That's true. That's true, though.
I've actually done this before where I've been like, okay, you're not interested. I don't even know you. Not in a negative way, but like, I don't want to be friends. I don't want to be nice. I don't want to be this. I'll see you around.
Yeah.
And it actually worked without me wanting it to work. It just was like, whatever. I'll tell that story in a moment. After the convo, she would still text DM and come out to see me around the apartment complex. I felt she was still testing her own agenda. So this is in regards. I asked the girl out and she told me to be friends. But I don't want to be friends. So I would have not continued to text her and talk to her if you didn't want to be friends with her.
Right.
Because what you're saying is like, oh, we talk and we text, and maybe even friends can flirt sometimes or have like playful moments, or even in those moments. But she's saying to you like what she would find attractive is probably you just cutting off all contact, and possibly her seeing you as someone else having a good time. A lot of people don't think that, but actually women are always in competition.
She could get a little jealous.
Oh yeah, for sure. Damn, that's cold. Laugh out loud. You guys laughing in that guy's face.
Oh.
I'm not laughing in that guy's face.
Which guy? Shazam?
I don't know who is laughing in his face. I don't know what hip hop songs he was listening to. No one raps about checking your girl. That's bullshit. I think there's probably some songs that have checking your girl in them, but I don't know. And Karens are cat ladies meow.
Oh, Karens are cat ladies.
If I've crossed the line and I'm put in my place, that's when I respect it. So you're saying that you've crossed the line. Okay. Damn, that's cold. I don't know what you were talking about. Read the rest of the story. Ignore her text, Shazami. Don't waste my time if you want to be friends. The most powerful way to get someone's attention is to remove yours. That's a Corey Wayne line. That's actually true.
What?
She said moose head and a slice of pizza. I just slipped that in because you're Canadian. So I said a
Oh.
moose. You go out for a moose head and a slice of pizza.
I didn't even catch that.
Shazam, he's talking. LOL. He'll read it in a minute. I don't know. I had a chick have sex with me, but yet they just see me as a friend. So we hang out and hook up, and that's it. So I mean, if that's the case, that's called friends with benefits. And it's one of those things you either accept it or you don't accept it. Okay, in my head, I'm so down for friendship, LOL, but only if she gets physical. So you're really down for friends with benefits.
Yeah.
So you're actually lying to yourself.
You're only down for friends with benefits.
Yeah, that wasn't you calling. I know that. This is gratefully helpful. Thanks, Coach. No problem. I would give this an example. So I feel like I'm giving all the shit tests. Jessica doesn't really want to divulge anything. She's very guarded about her shit testing.
No, I just don't have any. I can't.
You've never shit tested at
I'm not
31
saying
years
I never
old.
have, but I can't think of anything.
Have you had a guy shit test you?
Probably. I'm trying to bring up the Rolodex here and think of some situations. Gosh.
Hello? Yeah. Is it? You need something? No, I'm actually in a live stream right now. That's why I hung up. All right, talk to you later. Bye-bye. Double called. Okay, so see how that phone just throws you off? Okay, so we got 19 on deck, 7 likes. I have a good story while Jessica goes through the Rolodex of hers.
Yeah, but when I'm focusing on your story, I can't then focus on my story.
Okay.
So I want to hear your story.
Okay, so this is actually a good one. This actually resulted in a girlfriend, a good girlfriend, a good relationship.
From a shit test.
I would actually, looking back, say it wasn't a premeditated shit test, but it's a pretty good shit test, and I think I handled it pretty well. I absolutely. One thing I did after I broke up, after that like 5-year thing 10 years ago, I revisited like attraction and different things, and I didn't become like some fucking pickup artist, but I just started to like look at some of these things in a different way. Mm-hmm. And so, but I would say that I never was the type to be like, if some girl wasn't interested or wanted to be friends, that would be like, what do I do next? I would just be like, okay, not interested. Right. So, so this is what happened. So this is while I lived in Thailand, and I was in a program that was a, program at a university. Like I'm not going to go into the details of what program it was, because I don't know if I could say that, on their name and whatnot. So this program was like an educational thing. It was a 1-month program. She worked at the university and whatnot. So I remember, though, this was one of the few women that I was looking around. I'm like, wow, she's really pretty. Like you probably had this before. You said this about your ex-boyfriend, where like the first time you saw him, you were attracted to him. Mm-hmm. So I was like, wow, she's pretty, But she came into the room and something was bothering her. She looked a little miffed. She sat down. She looked like she might have a little bit of attitude. I came over and I talked about some things pertaining to the program and whatnot. So it wasn't like, hey, what's up? What are you up to? What's your name? It was like pertaining to the school. She was very cold. I think she was bothered by something else. Something else was going on in her life at the time. I think she had some issues with some family member or something like that. So that interaction wasn't positive at all. I was nice. I was kind. There was nothing to it. So another time I had come back and there was a break from the class I was taking. And this area in Thailand, which is very common, Thailand has a lot of fruit stands, like cut up fruit, like mango and different things. And so on the way back from lunch, I had grabbed some, and it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to give her fruit and maybe she'll go out with me. It was like, I'm going to bring it back for the staff. Like a couple of the other girls, and the other girl that worked in there was cute also. So it wasn't just targeted. But it was just something I would do anyways.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I would do it anyways. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like, oh, this is going to work. Mm-hmm. So many people, it makes me fucking cringe when you guys go, does this work? Mm-hmm. It's like, stop trying to make things work. Okay, it's like that's trying too hard. So I went in there, I drop off the fruit. As soon as I walk in, so it's like two women at two different desks. Both of them are, like I said, are pretty attractive Thai women. They speak good English because this is Thailand, so not everyone speaks great English. I come in, I say, hey, I just was out to lunch. I just got this fruit, and the girl that I thought was attractive went instantly like this, just went on the phone, like turned her head to me, ignored me. It was cold. Wasn't like a fuck you, but it was like, you're not interested. The other girl that was sitting across was like, oh, thank you, da da da. And I was like, at that point, that was our second interaction. I was like, cool, done. Won't even talk to you again. Like, fine. Because I could tell. Went on the phone immediately and was just like, oh, like that. Didn't even say fucking thank you for the fruit, right? So not a big deal. But you just told me who you are and that you're not even interested in being fucking cordial when I bring over a plate of fruit. Who does that, right?
Not common for Thais.
Had been in the class, and me and her were really cool. And me and her had gone to lunch together a few times. She was attractive. She wasn't for me, I wasn't as attracted to her as I was to the other girl, but she was cool. And we were just going to lunch because we had the same class together. So it wasn't me trying to be seen with someone else. It was genuine.
Yeah.
And so we were in a small restaurant. I think it was a day or 2 days later. I was with that girl, like waiting in line. I saw the other girl walk in, the one that I got the fruit for that ignored me. Completely ignored her. Acted like I didn't even see her. I could see her out of the corner of my eye, like, because she was like behind us. I acted like I'm not even gonna say hello. No eye contact. Then she comes over and said, I just want to say thank you for the fruit you brought. I said, oh, yeah, no problem. And I kept talking to the girl that I was with. Ate her up. She told me this later on. And I said, because we ended up being a couple. And then from then on, again, I saw her around a couple times. And then I ran into her like in a hallway and we just started talking about, I'm one of those I could talk for fucking 3 hours. So I just was like talking. And then she goes, hey, did you want to ride home? And I lived like 2 blocks away. So it was like I walked and I was like, no, I'll take a walk. I'll take a ride home. Thanks. And she's like, oh, let me just get my stuff. And on the ride home, she was like, I'm going to give you a tour of the city. Actually, I'm going to call in sick to my other job. I was like, great. Now, the shit test was when I offered her that fruit. She told me later on that she's been asked out by a lot of people in that class. And you know what a lot of them did? Hey, do you want to get a drink?
Yeah. And
I could tell she was kind of a conservative girl by the way she dressed, the way she acted. She was very proper. She didn't want to seem easy. Right? And the fact that I was able to get rejected or her be cold to me multiple times and not even react without even asking out. That was, like I said, that was a shit test in some ways. Like and then when we went out, this is a big one. We went out the first time and it wasn't technically like we're on a date. Cause like I said, she's like, oh, I'm going to show you around. We went out to eat. We're talking. She goes, do you want to see a picture of my ex-boyfriend? Like I have his ID on me. And I'm like, no. I don't know. She just had a few shit tests. Like she wanted to see how I reacted to the fact that she just had a boyfriend and she had his ID and she's like, I have his ID and stuff like that. And I was like, no. And the weird thing is she had like a 5-year relationship with this other guy that went bad. So I was a breakup coach in the coming. So I didn't mind talking about like some of the trials and tribulations of the breakup, but this is one of the things she always respected me of. I never talked shit about the guy.
Yeah.
I never was like, oh, what a piece of shit or this or that. I was neutral because I was like, I never met the guy. I don't know him. I'm not going to say anything. So that was a shit test also. Like, are you going to talk bad? Like subconsciously, are you going to talk bad about this guy or the way he looks? I see so many people do this. Oh, that was your boyfriend? He's fucking ugly. Or, oh, that's the guy that you actually went out with? What an asshole. I just was like, no, I'm not. I don't need to see his picture. That's fine. It's like, you're like, Jessica's like, why would she ask you that? I don't know. Yeah. These are shit tests.
Right. This is part of the shit testing.
I don't know. But yeah. I'm saying like, I was just neutral. Like, yeah, no, I don't need to see his picture. She's like, oh, yeah, the ID is like this. Another thing was I remember, I think there was another time when we first went out and she was like, I have a kid. And I was like, oh, really? Okay. And she's talking, she had a picture of her with this kid and she was like, yeah, that's my son. Da, da, da. She was serious. She was joking, but she carried it on for like 15 minutes. Now I could have been like, what? You have a, like, and I was just kind of like, oh, was I like excited about that when she first told me? I was like, no, but I was like, okay, cute kid.
Yeah.
It's like neutralize,
Mhm.
neutralize, neutralize rather than what?
Well, for some people, that's a big deal breaker.
Right.
So like she's testing.
She did multiple tests to
Mhm.
like scare me away.
Mhm.
And instead of me overreacting or ever asking her out directly, she ended up asking me out.
Mhm.
And it was funny because when we went out, she was like, when we started seeing each other, she was like, how did that even happen?
Mhm.
And she told me later on the fact that I didn't approach her with like, hey, let's get a drink or come on strong. Cause she's like, I see that all the time.
Mhm.
And then the fact that you come and bring me fruit, I'm a jerk to you. And then you just don't talk to me again and you're okay with it.
Mhm.
Totally threw her off.
Mhm. So all of those guys who approached her technically with that first question of da 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 want to go out, she's shit testing them also.
Yeah, looking back, she was one of those that would do a lot of shit tests because she's very conservative. She viewed herself as a conservative girl. She hadn't been with a lot of guys,
Mhm.
like in the sense that she was very guarded about her image.
Mhm.
So that was one of those things where like she didn't want to appear easy or any of those things. And so I think that was part of it.
Mhm.
And so like I said, a lot of guys would come in there like, hey, you want to get a drink? Total turn off for her.
Mhm.
Totally not reading the situation.
Mhm.
You got one yet?
I think I'm gonna have to stir on this because the whole shit testing thing, I feel like it's a pretty broad spectrum that it can happen in. And it's like, because even when you're talking about this, she hasn't even met you before, and already like in hindsight, she's shit testing you with that first like just not even paying attention to you, picking up her phone when you come around with the fruit.
It was. I just thought of
I
it now.
mean-
It was the ultimate shit test in the beginning of something, and my reaction was same as the girl in the bar chair. Like I said,
Yeah,
okay.
like that's a shit test. So
I'm
or
saying
it's just-
like what would be the ideal reaction, Jessica, to that? Like I said, okay, it's like what guys disregard. A girl shows disinterest in you. You ask her out, she shows disinterest. I think that you have more power in saying, okay, and then
Right.
going along with your business. And if you do by chance, by not trying, you live in the same town, you do run into each other,
Mhm.
and she sees you out with someone else or having a good time, your value goes up.
Right.
Because number one, you can accept rejection. Number two, you have other options.
Yeah, I think it's
That's value,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think that goes for women too.
Yeah, and knowing that you have other options.
That's a big one.
Mhm.
That I think that contributed to her coming up to me that I was with someone else having lunch that was a
Mhm.
female,
Mhm.
and she was kind of like, what? Because she was like later on, like, she's really pretty. That girl, she would fish around for questions like, did you guys? And I was like, yeah, we went out this Friday night and we did. It wasn't a bullshit thing. It wasn't like I'm trying
Yeah.
to make you jealous.
You just moved on.
I
with
was
your
like,
life.
yeah. I was like, yeah, we hung out this weekend. Like the first time, it bothered her a little bit,
Right.
but it wasn't like you're trying to do that. So
Mhm.
hold on, let's take this. That's the second one who fobbed you off, and you end up being a couple. You play a good game, Mac. I don't know. Here's the thing about that. This is not one of those things where like, oh, it works every time, but it works in the sense that you keep your dignity.
Mhm.
That's what's attractive, right? Like if you shove a guy, I think that if you ask a guy out and his intention of asking you out or hanging out with you is to be romantic or to hook up with you, and you're like, you know what, I just want to be friends. You got to be honest with yourself. You have an option. You can say, oh, that's fine with me, and just go out with them once and show them what a friend's like. Or you could go, oh, okay, cool. I wasn't thinking along those lines, but thanks, hon. That would actually be attractive to a woman because she's like, oh shit, you don't want to go out. It's like here's
Yeah.
another shit test. Now I'm coming up with a bunch.
Yeah. Go on. Share it.
I asked out this woman a while back and it was through text. This is a while ago. And I go, hey, did you want to get dinner tonight? So it's short notice. It's like, she's like, I already ate. I said, okay. And she responded like 5 minutes later, like, "Is it okay if we get a drink then?"
Oh, so she was waiting for you to suggest.
Yeah, she was waiting for me to go, "Oh, you can't make it tonight? Oh, why not?" Or this or that, this or that. It totally was like, I just went, okay. Like immediately, like, okay, fine. Like, no problem. And then it's like, what? You're not gonna say anything more about it?
Mhm.
That would be a mini shit test, right? Like, yeah, I'm busy, I can't go out with you. How are you gonna react to that? Are you gonna say, "Oh, when are you available?" That would be annoying.
Mhm.
"Oh, is there another day I can meet you?" No, the best response would probably be like, "Okay." And then it's kind of like, well, what does that mean? What do you think?
I mean, like you're the one that reached out to her to hang out with her, and she's saying, "Oh, she's already eaten." So, I mean, do you still want to hang out or not? So it's like, okay, well, if she says, "Oh, I've already eaten," then wouldn't you naturally just be like, "Oh, okay, well, I'll meet you after," or it's like because she didn't want to eat, you don't want to eat, you don't want to see her anymore because she had already.
No,
eaten,
it's
you
just
don't want
like
to
it
eat?
was just like one of those things. I'm just like, okay,
Mhm.
then leave it in the other person's court, like, because I don't know if you're just turning me down, or
Right.
because like it's a mixed message, right? So if I go next, like,
Mhm.
"Oh, did you want to get a drink then?" And then she turns you down again, then
Mhm.
she
So
turns you
then,
down again. So
you
you're leaving it open ended for you to say something. But if you don't say anything, it's like, fine, I'll make other plans.
right. I think like maybe coming from her point of view, it's like you're the one who reached out to her in the beginning, and she's saying, "Well, I've already eaten," and then so maybe she's waiting for you to suggest, or maybe she should say, "I've already eaten, but want to meet up after you eat," or something like that. It's like
It's-
there's like a lack of communication there, and one person's waiting for the other.
Yeah, but
person.
isn't it better if the guy leaves it open like that rather than becomes a salesman trying to suggest something next?
Because you're already feeling a bit like taken back because she's coming back to you by saying she's already eaten. Like you're feeling like
Yeah,
she's
she
saying
instantly
she
says,
doesn't
"I
wanna
already
hang out with
ate."
you.
It's like, to me, that could, like, in a text, that can be conveyed as a cold response
Mhm.
or disinterest. Because she could have said, "I already ate, but like I'll get a drink with you, or I'll
Right.
meet up after." It's just like, "I already ate." It's like, okay, fine.
So like here, there's just assumptions lost in communication. Like maybe that's not at all what. Maybe that's. I don't know. I don't know the situation, but I just think that messages can be lost
All right,
in texting
I got
communication.
another shit test. We're 1 hour 22 minutes. Jessica's waning a little bit here. She's starting to roll her eyes. She gets to a point she can't talk as long as I do. But I got one more. I went out with a girl, and we went to a restaurant that was like, this is a classic shit test, actually. Classic shit
Let's
test.
hear it. Let's hear it.
We went to this restaurant, and the restaurant, I would say, is not very expensive, but middle to high, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like on a scale of 1 to 10 on expensive, it's like 7 or something like that. So you could definitely go to a part of the menu that's like double the price, if
Mhm.
that makes sense.
Mhm.
So there's like a really nice lunch special at this place.
Mhm.
There's value things, and she goes straight to the fucking steak, right? In the menu. No, I'm just saying, like, I don't mind.
Yeah.
I'm buying lunch.
Is
I
this
invite.
the first date, second date?
It wasn't even like, it was like a casual thing. It was like a casual thing with someone I kind of knew. But I
So
was
you
like, "Did
knew
you want?"
her.
Yeah, I was like, "Do you want to get lunch?" And she came, and we went out, and I just felt like it was a test because she went straight to the most expensive part of the menu
But it was
at
obvious
lunch.
you were
At
paying for
lunch, yeah. Well, I didn't mind, but here's the part about the. She's like, "Is it okay if I get steak? If I get one of these
it. Oh,
things?"
she's
And
asking you.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
right.
Oh,
And
wow.
like I said, "Get whatever you want." I
So,
said, "Get
so
whatever,"
she's just assuming you're taking up the bill because this is a
which was fine with me at this point because she's actually telling me who she is. I don't mind.
yeah.
We went out.
Okay.
I'll get it. It's fine. I'm just collecting information at this point, like
Yeah.
who you are. It's not like I'm like, we're at lunch. It's not like I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna take you home. We're gonna hook up.
Yeah.
We're going out."
Sure.
It's fine. But it is a bit of a shit test when you're like, go immediately to the back to the most expensive stuff for lunch, and this woman is a daintily, she's not someone that would have a huge appetite. I'll just put it that way. And I had went out with her one time before, and she always goes. She was like, "Oh, my like my someone I've been with before always complains I don't finish my food," and I was kind of like, okay, I don't. I mean, then you can take it home. Or, you know what I mean? Like there's like So it was like a test. Like, are you going to get upset if I don't finish my food? I'm like, no. It's like, that's on you, right? Order what you want. And she had ordered a big steak and something else the time before, which I was like, didn't finish. I didn't mind that much. I'm like, whatever. This next time when we went out again, and then they asked me again, I'm like, get whatever you want. In my head, I was like, are you just ordering this because I'm paying? Or do you really want yourself a fucking steak? That says something about your character. I've went out with women like that before.
Sure. There's a lot of
and to me, that's not me going, oh shit. That's me going, red flag, done.
That's exactly
curtains.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
So like I won't even placate it like that. There's no like, oh, how am I gonna fix this? How am I gonna try on this? It's like, okay, I know who you are. Like we can hang out again, but I'm not interested in you long term. Like we can be cool and stuff. But I didn't say that. I just went, get whatever you want.
Mm.
Now I could have said like, well, make sure you eat it all, or like I have a budget of this much. In my head, I don't want you to order that.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna have a problem. Like you just tell me what you want to get. Ended up ordering it, ate half of it, complained about the taste of it, didn't even want to take it home. So I was just like, okay, that's a shit test to me. But actually, the shit test that you're running is working against you.
Mm. That just sounds like she's got some her own personal issues with, I don't know, eating.
See how the shit test could be different? Like,
yeah.
That's a shit test, though, to me. Like, is it all right if I order this?
Yeah.
Like, are you willing to be expensive with me?
Mm.
To me, that's a sign of what's coming.
Right. Sure. That's definitely a sign.
I've always respected, and I don't require it. If I go on a date, it's not like I just respect it. If a woman, like, the first time you go out, it's like, no, I want to split it. Yeah. I don't think that's weak.
No.
I don't think a guy, like, some guys will be like, oh, you never do that. You always pay for the woman on the first date. I'm like, for woman, sometimes that, in my experience, like the girl I was just talking about, that's her way of saying like, I'm not easy, and I don't want you to get any ideas that by paying for my food. I think it's an independent move, and I respect it. And I'll be like, all right, we can split it. Sure. I'll leave the tip.
No, but also like if I'm going to go out to eat, I don't want to sit there and assume that you're going to pay for my food, and then I've got to be sensitive into what I'm going to order. Oh well, I think I have to stick to this page because it's going to be too high on me.
I'm willing to pay for you.
Yeah. If you're going to like the food and you really
I am. But if you say no, I'm going to split it. I'll be like, yeah, all right, I'll respect you for that. I won't make a fight over it, or I won't make an argument. And I think that I've had that happen many times before with women that end up being my girlfriend because they that's their way, like I said, of saying like, this doesn't mean we're going to be like, I don't want to, I want to gradually get to know each other kind of thing. I think that's a cool thing, but that would be a test.
For splitting the bill. Split the bill. So there's no need to blur anything there. It's
like once you get close, some couples, depending on who makes more money, would assume who's going to pay, right? Once you're in a relationship, if you make more money, it's like no problem or whatever.
Or it can be, like maybe one person or the other. It doesn't have to be the man. The woman can be like, hey, I want to treat you to dinner. Like, let me take you out to this place I really like. It's on me.
Yeah.
Like the woman can say it or the man can say it. It doesn't have to be like the man's like, oh, put the wallets on the table. It's like, this is on me, baby.
See, because that
order the steak.
Would that be a turnoff? That would be a turnoff, right?
No, I mean I'm not into that, but some.
If you went out with a guy that was like that, like if he went, hey, I just want to let you know, order whatever you want. It's on me.
I would say sure. If he
Jessica's like, okay.
No, I like to eat. Listen, I'm not gonna leave half my food on the plate. But I mean, if a guy from the beginning was like, hey, I really want to take you to this place, like I want to treat you. Fuck yeah, great, let's go, awesome. And then equally, I would do the same in return, if I could. But I think you don't have to necessarily repay it in food. It can be anything else. It's like just a sign of a little appreciation. It doesn't have to be. Of course, splitting the bill is nice when you first meet someone. You don't know them. It's like, okay, let's I'll pay for mine, or we'll just split it down the middle. Why not?
So I would say in closing that if you get shit tested and it's the beginning stages of maybe flirting or talking to a woman, like I said, if you put your arm on the chair and she goes, get your arm off my chair, I think the best reaction to those kinds of things is to go, okay, and kind of be like, I accept that. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to say sorry because you didn't do anything wrong. I think that if it's in a relationship where you've been seeing each other for a long time, that you need to speak up. Like it would be more or less neutral and more or less, if someone's saying something that's a real shit test, like kiss my feet in this restaurant, depending on who they are, you could be like, no. But you can be playful and funny about it. So those are the 3 ways I would say to react to them. But I would say if a woman is the type to do some shit tests where you're like, you really did that? Like, you're asking me if you can order expensive items on the menu because you just want to see if I'll pay for them. I'm like, that's a shit test where I'm like, that's character flaw.
That's shallow.
Shallow, right? I think it is. And so you wouldn't think of a way to counter that in a way to impress them. I'd say the classy thing would be like, yeah, no problem. But then I'm not probably going out with you again. Like, you just turn me off.
Yeah. Yeah. Certain shit tests can really show what someone's character ultimately can be.
Anyone have any closing questions here? Giving teacher an apple. Leandro, that's the second one who fought. Berserk Fury. Comfort testing is her way of seeing if you will not leave her if she starts being crazy, irrational, and presumptuous. Some women just like to complain too. Well, if that's the case, that's a woman I don't want to be with. So thanks for telling me who you are. Split it. That shows she respects you. I think it does. I don't think it's a requirement when I go out, but like I said, I find it respectful. I appreciate a woman that offers it and that wants to do that on the first date or first couple of dates. Obviously, if you go out a few more times, or if you understand that you're at different wavelengths with money at that time, then it's not a problem. But won't the guy expect you to split it all the time then? No. For me, no. I wouldn't say that's true. I'm saying that it's not an expectation. It's just that if you do that, I welcome it as a sign of you saying, hey, I'm still independent here. I don't need you to buy my food. Like, I think that you're standing your ground. Like, I'm not going to sleep with you tonight, but that might change later on or something like that. I just want to make it clear, like, we're still getting to know each other and I can pay for my own food. I think that that's what it is. Yeah. It's a sign of independence. But won't you, I don't think a guy would expect you to split it. If the guy's like that, he might be cheap. And there's people that are cheap like that. And there's other people that have been with a gold digger or someone that took advantage of them. And so every time after that, they're constantly like, oh, I'll never do that again. So I don't like paying for food that people don't eat. There are kids starving in Africa. Like I said, take it home. I don't have a problem if you take it home with you. If you throw it on the ground, make sure there's a dog there. I usually ask a woman to grab coffee, drink, or go to a park. Let's go to a park. Cheap and inexpensive first or second date. Okay.
Yeah, parks can be nice.
Sure. I think what a woman picks on a menu shows how considerate she is. I agree. I think that if you're on a date and the woman's not going to pay or vice versa, I'll say, just as a person, that I've had colleagues before that make more money than me and they're going to pay for your food. I would say that you do notice when someone at the table orders something they wouldn't normally order just because someone else is paying. And I think that you can sense that, and that does give you like a little bit of a like, what the fuck? Like, have some consideration. Sure. You don't have to be cheap when someone's like, get whatever you want, but you shouldn't be like, oh, let me go for the fucking gold. Yeah. I finally stopped playing after coming home from working all day. I said, can I have one chill night where I don't have to hear your damn tests? Sounds like you need to get out of that one, bud. All right, this was a good one. We went an hour and 30 minutes. I got to get some lunch. I think that we'll do this again Wednesday. If you guys want more of Jessica on the live stream, she said she's actually only up for one time a week, but I think she's capable too.
Me too.
Maybe too. She's exhausted right now.
It's been great. That's been fun. I'm enjoying it.
All right, folks, if you want to go to writemac.com, if you want to get a live coaching session with myself or Jessica, is actually available on writemac.com. If you want to get her perspective on your story, she's got her profile up there available. And if you'd like to go to my Instagram account, it's Coach Mac McCarthy. That has a lot of pictures from Thailand and whatnot. It'll have my schedule up. Said she's nocturnal. You're nocturnal?
No, actually. What does that mean? You stay up all night?
Yeah, that's what it means.
No, actually, I sleep all night.
All right. So yeah, it's actually where we're at right now. It's 12:53 p.m. So it's in the afternoon, double D. All right, folks. It's curtains. It's been a good one. It's been grand. It's been great. See you next time.
Bye bye.